So a question I often get asked is about certain herbs is why aren't they readily available as liquids or even why aren't you using them as liquids? I mean, there's no doubt there's advantages to herbal liquids. To me, the great advantage of using herbal extracts in a liquid form is that you can make an individual mix and you can tailor it to the individual. So it's a very efficient way of prescribing in that there's not any unnecessary herbs in there that might come with the tablet formulation or capsule formulation that you're using. So it is advantageous in many instances, therefore, to have the herbs available as liquids. But I think it's important to understand that some herbs just do not work as liquids. And I'm going to give you a few examples, and you'll see that these examples are different in many cases, although there's a couple that's overlap. So the first thing relates to stability. There are some herbal extracts that are not stable in liquid form. Now, that's not necessarily a general rule because our research with echinacea has shown that these alkylamides, which are incredibly unstable compounds if you isolate them, I mean, you can store them under nitrogen at minus 70 degrees centigrade and they still decompose. But these alkylamides in an echinacea liquid are rock solid stable over the 3-year lifetime of the liquid extract, which is phenomenal when you think about it. And it just shows you how much cleverer than us herbs are. And echinacea as a tablet does have stability problems, which is why good companies actually, if they're citing alkylamides on the label, will put a little bit extra in to overcome that decomposition. So it's not a general rule that liquids are less stable than solid dosage forms like tablets and capsules, but there are some critical examples. Now, the first one is the sweet wormwood or chung hao, botanically Artemisia annua, the one that contains artemisinin. And the important point there is that the artemisinin is not stable in liquid form. So after a few months, if you're using the Artemisia annua liquid extract, because you want to get those beneficial effects of artemisinin, like its antiviral and antiparasitic effects, you can forget it. You must give that one as a tablet to ensure that you still have the artemisinin present. And also you need to be careful about the manufacturing process because the artemisinin, being so unstable, can be lost in manufacturing. Another one which is gaining increasing popularity as a treatment, for viral infections, is the elderberry. The elderberry in liquid form is not stable. It contains anthocyanins as that reddy purplish pigment that they have in the extract, and those anthocyanins decompose over time. So you need to use the elderberry extract in the dry form to ensure its stability. Now, sometimes the instability of a liquid might work to our advantage. You'll see my grumpy old herbalist this month is about St. John's wort, and St. John's wort can be involved in herb-drug interactions, and they've identified that the chemical involved is hyperforin. And hyperforin is not that stable in liquids. So if you don't want to get those pharmacokinetic or drug metabolism-based interactions with St. John's wort, if you use a liquid form of St. John's wort, especially at the lower alcohol percentage, because it's a hyperforin is even less stable at that lower alcohol percentage, say 45%, then you can quite happily go forward without any concerns that it's going to influence the metabolism of the drug medication that someone else is taking. Okay, so there's another reason why some herbs are not that useful as liquids, and that is the alcohol. So let's take the case of myrrh, for example. We extract it in 90% alcohol. And to give a decent dose of myrrh, which I sometimes do with my patients, 5 ml of 1 in 5 tincture twice a day is what I consider a decent stealth pathogen dose. They're getting a fair bit of alcohol, and that may not suit some patients. I think the best example of this is boswellia, because you do need fairly robust doses of boswellia, and being an oleogum resin like myrrh, you have to extract it in very high percentage of alcohol. And so to get an effective dose of boswellia, really you're better off with a dry extract in tablet or capsule form. There's another reason why liquids aren't suitable, and the best example of this is these mucilaginous herbs. So let's take slippery elm. So I can remember when I was a herbal student in the UK, and I go into some clinics and they'd be using these dark brown, terrible fluid extracts of slippery elm. And I was completely baffled by it because, as you know, slippery elm is a mucilaginous herb. You mix it with water and it gels up beautifully, and that confers its therapeutic properties. And if you extract it with alcohol and water, you leave all that benefit behind and you make this thin, dark brown liquid that's completely useless. So a liquid extract of slippery elm is just a waste of money and a waste of time. You need to use it, for example, as a powder. You can overcome this, not for slippery elm because it's so mucilaginous, but for marshmallow root, if you extract it with glycerol and water, you can certainly get sufficient of the mucilaginous phytochemicals that are in marshmallow root into the glycerol water extract, to the point where sometimes if you put it on your fingers and do that, you'll see you'll get a strand forming because it's so thick and viscous and mucilaginous. So if you're using glycerol water in the case of some mucilaginous herbs like marshmallow root, it's okay, but forget it. A liquid extract of slippery elm, just don't even bother wasting your money with that. So that's why some herbs and the way you get offered them are in solid dosage form, not as liquids.